Good morning, huddlers. It is Friday morning, and you know what Friday is all about, right? Leadership and business. Here at the Daily Huddle, we say that you may have everything in life, but unless you have the wherewithal to multiply yourself and multiply it all to make a huge difference in the world, you need to be running a business. We love entrepreneurs. And we love having conversations with entrepreneurs to sharpen our leadership skills and sharpen our business skills. So I have a quote for you today. It's from Tony Robbins. It goes like this: when you know what's important to you, making decisions is quite simple. Most people are unclear about what's most important in their lives, and thus decision-making becomes a form of internal torture. Tony Robbins. Good morning. Good morning. Whether you're on the West Coast or the East Coast, and if you're in Florida, I'm sending you special energy, special prayers. So to all my peeps in Florida, stay safe, stay well, and be strong. And to all of you listening and being here for the Daily Huddle, today's conversation is about growing your business without sacrificing what's important to you. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, I don't sacrifice much. Or you may be thinking to yourself, oh my God, I've sacrificed a whole bunch. Wherever you are, this conversation is for you. And wherever you are this morning, it's okay. So before we get into that question, though, I have a few questions for my friends here. Tara, good morning.
Good morning. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here. Well, tell me, where are you?
Where am I? I am right here and fully right here and nowhere else.
Fully right here and nowhere else. Tara, welcome. And who will you be hugging today?
Today, I will be hugging my sweet daughter, Caroline.
You know, I modified the question just a bit. I said hugging as opposed to who will you hug today? You know, it's a prolonged hug. Like you're going to be hugging her the entire day. I love that.
Neuroscience says we need at least 6 seconds in a hug or it doesn't really deliver what we need.
Doesn't really count.
Right.
So thank you for that, Tara. Welcome, welcome. Andrea, what time is it and what are you grateful for?
Saurel, the time is now. It's the only time. And I am grateful for the weather. I love fall weather. So I'm grateful for that.
Oh, great, great. I would be remiss if I did not give my partner in transforming the world the opportunity to speak. Giovanni's hailing from Mexico today. And Gio, how are you?
Saurel, I am the way I say I am. And today I say I have a tan.
Look at him, folks. So great to have you here. And so cool that you're spending this time for yourself. That is exactly what this question is all about. How do you grow your business without sacrificing what's most important to you? And as Tony Robbins said in what he said, most people don't know what's important to them. And yet, if you ask the question, what's important to you? They will have an answer right there. Now, think for yourself right now. I'm asking the question, what's important to you? and a bunch of things came to mind. So mostly it's not that people don't know what's important to them. It is that they don't say what's important to them. So the first step in creating a business life as an entrepreneur that doesn't require you sacrificing what's most important to you is to say what's important to you. So what's important to you may not be a function of knowing what's important to you. What's important to you is a function of saying what's important to you. And then saying it, not just for saying it, but saying it as if you're making a promise to yourself. This is what's important to me. And I'm making a promise to myself that I'm going to stick to that. The second step in actually living by what's important to you is to let others know. There's something funny about my brain. For a long time, I thought that what's important to me would be known by everyone else in my life, as long as I lived as if those things are important to me. Well, it doesn't work that way. For others in your life to know what's important to you, you must tell them. Now imagine you're going for a job, or imagine you're starting a business. It's essential to actually say to the world, this is what's important to me. And then train the world to abide by that, as opposed to you having to flex and move so that what's important to you can have a life. I started working for the Bell operating companies in 1986. And back then I thought what was important to me was making it and expanding it, getting promoted, making more money. And I discovered, like most people discover sometimes, that I only get to know what's important to me when I'm suffering. So I spent a lot of time proving how smart I was, working really hard to deliver more than most people. And in the end, I didn't spend the time that I wanted to spend with my children or my family. Not that I never said my children weren't important, not that I never said my family was not important, but I didn't make it clear to the rest of the world and to me that that is what's important. So one of the things that really matters is that I myself have to be willing to make what's important to me my first priority. You've heard people say, create boundaries. It's a little more than that. It's actually having what's important to me, what's important to you, written down somewhere. Like the strategies, the plans, and the actions you're going to take to actually live that life. What's important to us doesn't come by default. And often the life that we end up living, we live by default because of the pressures and the demands of the rest of the world, the demands of my job, the demands of my friends, the demands of society. All of those external demands just descend upon me, upon you, unless you know and have said what's important to you and have created what's important to you as a promise to yourself to keep, and as a continual request of others to respect. You may be living a default life where what's important to you is what's right there in front of you to do, as opposed to what's important to you governing the life you live. So, number one, say it. 2, say it as a promise to yourself. 3, let the world know. 4, be willing to make what's important to you your first priority. And then create strategies, plans, and actions so that you get to live a life according to what's important to you. And last but not least, celebrate what's important to you. Celebrate it. Now, I have a friend who's here, and she didn't know I was going to do this, and I didn't know you were going to be here, Tara. But I worked with Tara maybe around the beginning of 2021. And it was an exercise that was really precious to me, where I said I wanted to really crystallize what's important to me. And I wrote a statement, and another friend dug on the web and found that statement. Stan is here. And Stan dug up that statement. And you know what, Tara? I read that statement to myself a couple of days ago, and it just moved me to tears. So when what's important to you is really real in your life, it could have that effect on you. So I'm going to read that statement to all of you. And as I'm reading it, don't listen to it as if it's mine. Listen to it as if it's yours, and give it the opportunity to start to drum up for you and bring up for you what's important to you. And the statement itself doesn't have to be a statement that says, this is what's important to me. But it has to be the kind of statement that you're willing to surrender your life to. Give me a moment. So this is what I wrote with your assistance, Tara. And I'm grateful for that. It's on my website, and it says this: I am my mother and father, for whom entrepreneurship is a necessity, as it is for most of the more than 12 million inhabitants of Haiti. Perhaps unwittingly, they raised me as a steel wool entrepreneur, the type of entrepreneur who, like a steel wool pad, will tirelessly sand and dust off thoroughly anything that life throws at me. They also raised me to hear the collective growl of the hungry stomachs around me over the growl of my own stomach, to see beauty beyond trash, to see prosperity beyond poverty, and to see myself beyond my current circumstances. I am from Mom and Dad, the leaders I most respect. I love and honor them by standing for what I believe in life and in business. And this is what I believe. I believe that each of us is whole and perfect, yet we don't act like we are, and we don't live like we are. Discovering this makes growth natural and improvement unnecessary. I believe that to value the present gives us the freedom of limitless wonder. I believe that humanity, and life itself are magnificent. I believe that a vulnerable, caring leader is a courageous leader. I believe achievements are temporary and finite. Authentic success is perpetual and infinite. I believe no one is smarter than all of us. Only the collective can reach unimagined potential. I have a version of that statement in front of me every day. Every week, I review what I say is important to me. And then I look at the places where I haven't been living according to that, and I make adjustments. So my dream for you my hope for you today is that you take the time to say what's important to you, to let the people around you know what's important to you, to be unabashedly like a dog on a bone in life, living your life according to what's important to you. And last but not least, to make what's important to you a promise to yourself, to strategize, plan, and take actions on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, fulfilling the life you say you want, not the life your job gives you, not the life the world gives you, but a life that you choose to live. That is my wish for you, and I'd love to hear from you. What are you creating for yourself right now out of listening and making this conversation yours this morning? Or you may share what's important to you. I'd love to hear from you. Gio, you have your hand up, my friend.
Hey, Saurel, that was phenomenal. I love that part where you say, I don't want to show my video because it's just a scary haircut today, but
Oh, you too tan. Come on, man. Show up. There you are.
I think you look awesome. I have to chime in. I like this very casual, sexy Gio.
I'll take it on. I'll take it on. And so what I love the aspect when you said be able to hear the hunger of the collective beyond my own hunger and be able to see beauty beyond the garbage. And that was something for me to discover as something new, right? That was beautiful. And I wanted to get your thoughts on something, Saurel, and you were alluding to it, you were pointing to it, but I wanted to see if you could go a little bit deeper on that. There is what's important to me, there is what's important to people. And when you said, think about it and it's going to be right there for you, right? And I believe it's true, it's right there for all of us, it's right there for me. How did you navigate, or how do you navigate the struggle of pursuing that which is important to me, which is always there, and yet the circumstances are so far from what's important to me? Or it's easy to fall for being a victim of the circumstances and just survive the circumstances. How do you navigate being in that, going out of that truly? And I'm not saying that you're not going to say something authentic. I'm not saying that. It's just that when the circumstances are so difficult, how do you go back to what's important? Or how do you live it now, if you will?
Yeah, thank you, Gio. That is just the perfect question for now. In living my life, it's taken a big village, a huge village, to actually have me stay true to what's important to me. So what's worked for me is that I say what's important to me to my tribe. I say what's important to me to my wife. I say what's important to me to my family and friends, and then I give them the permission to hold me accountable to stay true to it. So the circumstances will be there, and often the circumstances come from the very people in the tribe. So I found it really critical, really important to actually have a pact with my tribe, with my people, to say, this is important to me. And are you willing to live the kind of life with me where you treat that as important to me as a promise that I make. And if you see me deviating from that, you have the permission to help me get back on track. So it takes that village. It has taken that village. And there's also the notion that I know what's important to me. I've never really kind of known that. I've had feelings, right? Because what's important to me changes over time. And I bet it changes for you as well. So it takes a kind of courage to actually say something and then be willing to live into that something and learn from that living. Because I may say today that Haiti is a developed nation is important to me. It's not something that I knew. It's something that I said. And then I proceeded to plan and make strategies and take actions consistent with that. And in living that life, I really discovered the importance of that to me. And sometimes in other circumstances in doing that, I lived the life and discovered, you know what, that really wasn't so important to me. I need to let that go. And then I take the same steps of communicating to the world that that's not important to me anymore. I'm no longer doing that. I'm no longer being that. So it's that kind of give and take and that kind of openness to having the rest of the world hold me accountable and support me that makes it possible to navigate the circumstances. Gio, I don't know if I answered the question, but that's what came up.
I love it, Saurel. The only follow-up I have, and other people have their hands up, is I'm present to the vulnerability to allow others to continually continually move the ship.
Mhm.
And that takes a lot of vulnerability, a lot of courage to have others say something.
Yeah, and the other thing that I also discovered took a lot of vulnerability. I don't know if the word is vulnerability or maybe courage or guts. It takes something to actually say to the rest of the world what's important to me. I remember going for my, the next promotion when I was young at Southern Bell, and the next promotion was going to rip me away from South Miami. And at the time, I knew it was important to me to stay close to family. And yet I didn't have the wisdom to say or act according to that for myself as a promise to myself. And I moved away. I live in Atlanta now, and 99% of my family lives in South Florida. I have a phenomenal life. And yet, in retrospect, that's something where knowing what's important to me, saying it, and having the guts to actually have it reshape what I do and how I interact with others would have given me a different path. Stan, how are you today, my friend? What do you want to say?
Man, I am absolutely just amazed.
I can't hear you well, Stan.
Is it a little bit better now?
It's okay. We can work with it.
You can work with it? Okay. I'm amazed at the beauty, man. It's just the beauty of life. Beauty of life and the relationship. You know, people like yourself, your family like the people that do not to you. I'm just so grateful to you. What came to my mind? Am I sounding clear now?
No, it's not sounding too good.
Wow. Well, okay. I really don't. Yeah.
Type it in the chat, Stan.
It would take too long.
Oh, hang on. I thought I heard you better now.
I said it would take too long.
There you go. You're speaking loud and we're hearing you well.
actually changed my profile. Do you hear me better now?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, I was saying it would take too long. What's come to my mind about what's come to me based on what you said, Saurel, um, was Philippians, the book of the Bible, Philippians 4th chapter and the 8th verse, and it reads like this. Finally, brother, whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honest, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are pure, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are good or of good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. And to take it a step further, in what you said, speak on these things. Because the instruction here is to think on those things. But you just clearly articulated how important it is to speak on those things. And in the true spiritual sense, when you think on a thing, you are speaking it. But you take it into another level when you voice it and you actually cause the vibration of your word and your heart and your intellect and your feeling to actually put that out in the wavelength of sound. So that's what I'm getting from you. Be true, be honest. Let people know about what you're true and you're honest about, what you want. You know, if there's any good thing, anything that's worth good report, let that be what we think about. Let that be what we speak about. Let all the other stuff stay out of our mind and out of our vocabulary, out of our speech. And to what Giovanni said, how do you handle this when you recognize that outside circumstances are just so different from the way you really want it to be? I think that if we do this, we're not going to see outside circumstances being so different from the way we want them to be. Because we are going to see more of that is in our favor, even in those circumstances.
Thank you, Stan.
That's my thing.
Thank you. Thank you. Ronald, we've got a couple of minutes.
Yes, we do. We do. And you know, what comes on for me is two things. And then you were going to it very quickly when you talked about when you were about to ask to be transferred or so here's the question. For someone that never shared, right? And suddenly really get a light pop up that, yeah, I should share with the world what I'm up to. What do you say to that person? How do you start really sharing? Because sharing is not into his realm of thinking.
Are you talking about you, Ronald?
Yeah.
Okay, I got that.
Yeah, because you know, if you're not interested in sharing what you're doing, how do you actually start really doing that work of sharing, because it's not something that you're naturally inclined to do?
The answer I'm going to give you is counterintuitive, and it's really simple, Ronald. Open your mouth and say it, and then do it again. The first time you do it, you may just do it in the mirror. But the next time you do it to someone you don't mind sharing with. And then after that, do it with someone you would never share it with. And then after that, do it. Find a dog, maybe. Share with the dog. The idea is what you say often becomes you. And what you say to the world often becomes you to them.
Mhm.
So you may say that it's not in my nature to share. When it's not in my nature to share, I doom myself to a really small life.
Mm.
Sharing is where transformation lives.
Mm.
Sharing is where growth and development lives. So open your mouth.
Got it. Got it. Oh, wow. It's like bang. I popped.
It's in everybody's nature to speak. So just open your mouth.
Got it.
Tara, thank you for making what I read possible. I'm forever grateful to you.
I don't take any credit. This has been a beautiful experience and a beautiful reminder this morning. And I am so grateful for each and every one of you on here. And Saurel, I love you. I am a better person for knowing you.
Yeah, man.
I love you, and I'm a better person for knowing you, Tara, and each of you. So guess what? It's 32 after. Our daily huddle for the day is over, but the daily huddle continues every single weekday, Monday through Friday. And on Monday, I have something special for you. I'm going to introduce to the world, in their absence, they're not going to be there yet, but we've got two phenomenal human beings who have said yes to hosting Money Mondays. And I will share that with you on Monday. I will share part of their lives with you, what they're up to, what makes them tick, what they're committed to in the world, and how much love and how much growth and development you're going to experience in their space on Mondays. So stay tuned. Tune in on Monday and every single weekday on the Daily Huddle. And we'll end on this note. 7 tenets for you to live a phenomenal life. Giovanni claims that it makes you sexy. And by golly, looking at that tan on him, I think he's been doing it.
Proof. He's living proof.
Living proof that when you love, when you stress less, when you eat mostly plant-based, and when you laugh out loud, and when you give of your stuff, and when you sleep, and when you move and exercise, and every single moment you check yourself before you wreck yourself, you get to live the kind of life that you want. I love you. I wish you a phenomenal weekend, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on Monday. Until then.
Outstanding, Saurel. So inspiring.
Beautiful, beautiful,
Thank you, guys.
beautiful. Thank you, Saurel. Thank you, family.
Thank you for